Hi everyone, I wanted to make just a quick video to go over revising and editing our analysis essay. So your readings will cover some of this as well, so I really encourage you to make sure you're doing those readings from the writing text very carefully. And then also we'll practice this in a peer review, so hopefully by the end of this week you'll get a little more comfortable with this essay in particular. But I wanted to point out just some specifics that I might be looking for. So starting with revising. From what we saw in our first essay, I hope you guys get the idea that revising is big picture. It's looking at your essay as a whole and how it's all working together. So this is like if you are adding any ideas, if you're deleting ideas, moving them around, changing ideas, that is what revising is all about. So this is usually the first step that you'll take in your sort of changing process between draft and final draft, is you want to put that grammar critic aside, tell them to shut up for a second, and go over just your ideas. How are your paragraphs moving from one to the other, and are they really accomplishing what you want to say about this piece? So I'm going to go over some strategies for revising and then a resource that you might use if you've not used our Success Center OWL before. So when you're revising, these are strategies from your U writing text that I actually think are very effective. The whole point of revising is to get a fresh perspective. It's new eyes on your writing. So the first strategy they have listed here is to take a break. And you might be thinking, well, wait, this final draft is due in a week. I got to work on it. And although you do, you're going to work on it much better if you step away for a day. Take a break from it. Take a deep breath, and in a few hours or in a day or two, when you come back to it, you'll be surprised what you'll see. You can ask someone else for feedback, although I do encourage you to, if someone recommends any changes to your writing, I encourage you to be the person making those changes, all right? Because if someone else is like, hey, give me your laptop, I'll fix this for you. That's not you doing the revising, right? But a couple other strategies listed here, like this third one says, pretend you're one of your readers. Are you satisfied or dissatisfied? Why? So putting yourself in the place of the reader is difficult to do, but it's a really important skill because that's what rhetoric and composition is all about. It's thinking about, okay, who's the person reading this, and are they really understanding what I'm trying to say? The other kind of tips that I have besides listed here, read your paper out loud or have someone read it to you. You'd be surprised what you'll catch. I'm also going to go over a few things with revising that I want you to pay attention to. So if you're really struggling with revising and you're just not sure what to do, I'm going to give you some feedback this week, but I also wanted to point out that the Success Center does have an online writing lab. If you click the Success Center tutoring button on our menu and then go to here, Success Center Online Writing Lab, you can copy and paste your paper to the writing lab via a browser, and they'll look it over in a couple of days, give you some feedback just like me. If you're confused on how to submit an assignment, there is a video here that you can look at. So I really encourage all of you to check that out. The biggest things you're going to want to look for when you're sort of finished revising are sentence level editing issues. So in this essay in particular, once you've sort of got all of your ideas in your essay, I'm now going to focus on a few things that you can do to make what you have much more effective. So there are three things I noticed with essay 2 that students struggle with. The first one is topic sentences. We're going to talk a little bit about vague wording and then how you can take your I language out but still talk about your own experience. So topic sentences. These are the very first sentence in each paragraph. So you can see from the picture here, it's this first highlighted sentence. So funny enough, in English especially, we write our main idea of a paragraph right off the bat. There's no guessing game here. So if I read only the first sentence of each of your paragraphs, I should have a very good understanding of what your paper is about. So if you go through and read each of your topic sentences and you're not sure what your paper is about, you need to do some adjustment there. Are you transitioning from idea to idea? Does each paragraph have its own idea, or do you have a lot going on in there? That's something I want you guys to look at with Essay 2. The second thing I see a lot in Essay 2 is language that I like to call vague or general, and this really comes down to wanting an academic tone. And the way that you can sound more academic is if you discuss specifically what it is that you mean. So especially when we're talking about songs or poems or pieces to analyze, I hear a lot of students will say, oh, well, this song is really good. And I might say, well, what do you mean by good? Do you mean it's catchy? Do you mean it's good to dance to? Do you mean it is thought-provoking? Those could all be good, but they have very different connotations. So I want you all to think about specifically using words like good, bad, different, interesting, big, huge. These are words that I often see that don't really describe what it is you mean. On that same vein, other words to look out for: anything, any, some, never, always, and any. All right? These, I think, students use often because you're trying to express that this has an impact, right? That this piece would appeal to everyone. But in reality, when you use those words, you're not really telling me what you mean. So I would be very careful when you're using any word like thing or everyone, anyone, no one. There's always an exception to the rule. All right, so you can't say that, oh, this song is the perfect song for everyone. That's not exactly true. All right, there's always an exception. And then finally, you might think about if you're using contractions. So this is like can't, won't, shouldn't. These you can spell out and automatically they'll sound more academic. All right, so the very last thing I wanted to talk about in Essay 2 is I language. So this is when you introduce your opinion by saying, well, I think that Beyonce's Lemonade is one of the most transformative albums of the last 3 years. Now, that may be my opinion, and it's totally valid to put, but the problem I have is that when you start with I think, you almost sort of qualify your opinion. You're sort of saying, I think this, but you don't have to. You don't have to agree. When in reality, you want to really just use your words to state your opinion. So if I say Beyonce's Lemonade album is one of the most formative hip-hop albums of the last 3 years, that sounds stronger. It sounds more confident. And that's the kind of feeling I want you to have in your writing. So anywhere where you see I think, I feel, I believe, or in my opinion, blah, 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 what you can do is literally just delete that first part. It's not that you can't say I. It's that I want you to think about how you can use I effectively. All right? So hopefully this gave you a bit of an idea of what I'm looking for in Essay 2. I know that analysis is difficult, all right? But I believe in you, and I think that you can do this. And I'm really excited to see your drafts and do our peer review this week and see where they end up with a little revision and a little editing and how much better they will become.